Live from the internet and recorded on September 12th, 2018. This is the Crystal Chronicles, your official, unofficial Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia, or whatever order you want, podcast. This is episode number 24. My name is Pierre, and I'm joined as usual by my good friend Mark. Hey Mark, how we doing?
Hello, Pierre. Hello, Twitchers. Hello, Dissidians. Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, Final Fantasy Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Your official, unofficial, official source for all things Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia.
There we go. I don't think there's anything more to add to this.
Great show, everybody. Great show.
First thing first, news, and with that, there was an announcement that there's the weekly Square Enix Mobile Challenge coming up for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and this is all around the Kuja event taking the God stage. So basically, in 2 days at the time of this recording, so on September 14th at 1:30 p.m. that's Pacific Daylight Saving whatever time, they will be doing a co-op event on which we'll get rewards if people join in with the correct characters. And now it's interesting because they're adding a little twist. If you have Sedzers, you get Sedzer, Kuja, Yuna, you get 2 points. Other characters, you get 1 point. But now, if you are one of the person who decide to shell out $50, well, that's in Canadian money, so like $35 US, and you get Yuna's Gunner's costume, it's gonna be 4 points, and they need 10 points to clear the challenge. And if the challenge is clear, we all get orbs and relics of all knowledge. So bring your
Yunas.
Bring your Yunas. In other exciting news, the Radiant Artifact challenge or dungeon or whatever is now officially part of the permanent the word is
World of Illusions.
Thank you very much. World of Illusions. And
Very
this
nice.
brings an interesting thing, because basically if it's now permanent, it means that all of the characters that you had when it was added are in there. But I wonder how it's going to work going forward. Let's say right now with Palom, his artifacts are not dropping in the Radiant Artifact World of Illusion stage. Same thing for Kuja. Did we hear anything about what was the plan for upcoming characters?
Yes, they said they would be released in regular intervals with maintenance, I believe. So I would assume every time we get a chapter update, a lost chapter update, a maintenance, you'll have more characters added to those dungeons.
All right, makes sense. So it's going to be a lot easier to farm these artifacts. You won't have to, get all crazy for 14 days because they'll go away. So that's a nice thing. Finally, there was a character adjustment for Edge that was part of the Palom event that was released on Sunday evening, basically because he's part of that event as a boosted character. So his shock ability went from 5 uses to 7, and Smokescreen went from 1 use to 2, and Airblend Smokescreen is now 2 turn. That's a passive. What is it again?
That's his self buff.
Oh,
Once
right.
He uses that. He gets that teachings of Airblend. Yeah.
So, and finally, in the Japanese version of Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, they brought out Lulu with her Lulus. So. After Rhinoa, you've got Lulu coming on.
It's gonna be a good month for me when that comes around global.
Yeah, or not a good month for your wallet. Either way.
Yeah.
Is she, like we talked about Rhinoa, but is Lulu boosted in non-Lulu's kind of way? Is she a good character? Is she
I have no idea.
You don't know?
I watched I watched the preview video from Japan, and it mostly showed Jet. So
I know, right?
it
And Waka.
didn't give me a very good sense of Lulu, but she is Lulu. She's got her doll
And her
and the
Lulus.
girls. Yes, indeed. So
So keep an eye out for Lulu. If you're playing the Japanese version, let us know how powerful or not powerful Lulu is. We're looking forward to that. Finally, in other news, we've got the content maker of the week. And Mark, for this week, you decided to name out Macy Lento Games that streams DFFOO content regularly. Any specific
yes,
reason? Is he good, or is he like badass player, or just streams
it's
at a
just
regular
yeah.
interval?
Streams a lot of Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia content. So I thought if you're interested in that kind of thing, you guys could check him out and decide for yourself.
There we go. I'll add the link to his YouTube channel in the show notes, so you'll be able to find him easily. This week's event, the Mischievous Black Mage, introducing the annoying little brat Palom from Final Fantasy IV, who, for some reason decided to scribble on bombs' faces. It was pretty childish. I am not fond of
Adorable.
that event at all. I think it's pretty lame. Uh, but anyway, so Palom from, and again, we thank our always so very useful and knowledgeable Mino Spellgod for his reviews of characters that he posts on Reddit. I'll have, again, the link in the show notes. He says, and it goes as follows: Palom's specialties are huge single-target ice attacks and lasting power in extremely long fights. However, he requires greater build-up than any other character released thus far and is one of the worst picks possible for short fights or ice-resistant enemies. So he's even longer than Terra to boost up, which is, a little bit annoying.
Well, yeah. He takes some work to boost up, but he's kind of a slow burn character. I think in Mino's evaluation, which encourage you to go check out, his evaluations are always excellent. I think he estimated around 65 turns of utility for Palom.
Wow. Just to...
So that's you use bluff and then you use the other powers. You use bluff again, and for Palom, every time he uses his either bluff or Mischievous Ice Crystal, they get better. So the first time you use it, it's bluff. Second time you use it, it's bluff plus plus. Third time you use it, it's bluff plus plus. Then it's Mischievous Ice Crystal, Mischievous Ice Crystal plus, Mischievous Ice Crystal plus plus, and then like greater Mischievous Ice Crystal. And then every time you use that, your buffs last longer, and the powers that it gives you, either the special HP attack or the special brave attack, also are increased, the length of those. So, yeah. So, I mean, he gets, 50 to 60, 65 turns of utility. So, but you got to think, that's one character you average. Okay, each character gets every third turn. That's not always how it works, of course, but that's 180, 190, 195 turn battle. Like,
That's a pretty long battle.
That's that's a rough battle. Let's just put it that way.
So to finish his review, he says, extremely niche pick,
Yeah.
but a great one if you ever need an extremely potent magic brave shaver. So
Yeah, who does ice damage? Yeah.
there we go.
Fun. I mean, I like his mechanic. I think it's interesting. It kind of opens up, in a game where you only get, 2 ability uses. Things like this open up more ways to get more abilities. Gives you more options. So I like characters like this quite a bit. So
Yeah, I think it's a pain in the ass, but that's just me. We're just going to move things around real quick. Since we're talking about Palom, we're going to talk about the banner real quick before we go to the co-op fights. So on that banner, you've got Palom's 15 CP and 35 CP, which real quick. The boost is won't be long. Sorry, I had it right in front of me. Okay, so his 35 CP boost, his dual cast, more brave damage, and more additional uses for his Mischievous crystal abilities.
Yeah.
And finally, his 15 CP, give more additional uses for bluff.
Yeah, you need his weapon. You need
Weapon
both
or
his weapon.
weapons? Okay.
Yeah, you need both his weapons if you want to use him. Yeah.
So it's
effectively.
it's the same thing we've been going through for the last couple of events. If you really want to use them, you need both weapons. Otherwise, they're...
Yeah, that's going to become more and more the case, I think. Yeah.
All right. We're also getting Edge 35 CP, and I believe for the first time, that's Ashura.
Yeah.
Basically gives one additional use for smokescreen and increase the bravery gain, increase the duration of evasion up 5 from 1 to 2 turns. Basically increases a whole lot of stuff. Does that make Edge better? Does that make him a key player in your party if you have both of his weapons?
Edge without his 35 CP weapon is terrible.
Okay.
He is useless and worthless and the worst. Edge with his 35 CP weapon can be fairly useful. Is he the best character? No. Is he, Zaz level? No. But his 35 CP gives him extended ability use, smokescreen up to 5 total uses, and it increases evasion to 2 turns, along with teaching of Eblon. And, most importantly, it inflicts AoE provoke on all enemies. So, I mean, it inflicts provoke on all enemies. And so that makes him very useful because he's hard to hit when his evasion's up. And that's great unless he's hitting somebody else. And his evasion only lasts for 1 turn without his weapon. So you use that and then he hits somebody else hits him and it doesn't work. So if you do this, it lasts 2 turns and everybody attacks him. So that makes him very useful for, multiple boss battles.
No, it
battles
says
like this battle.
It says here that the duration of evasion up goes from 1 to 2 turns, but it says inflicts lock on all enemies for 1 turn.
Yeah.
So not 2 turn, just 1.
No. His evasion lasts for 2 turns. The provoke is just 1 enemy turn.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then there's Vanille with her 15 CP and 35 CP. 35 CP gives her basically more bravery damage. Increase the basically her dispel ability is now AoE. It removes a 3 buff per enemy instead of 1, and it grants 80% of the stolen bravery to party. Pull, don't pull.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Palom can be fun, very, very niche. Edge's 35 is kind of what you want on this. Vanille kind of has her niche too, but it's a hard pass for me. I'm not going to be pulling on this banner. There's just not a lot you need right now.
All right. So, moving on to level 70 co-op.
Yeah.
How do you like them lizards? Basically,
not a fan.
Not a fan?
Not a fan. Not a fan.
It's basically the iguana fight over again a little bit.
Except more painful. Yeah, the level 70 co-op's not too bad. For example, if you bring through 3 Kujas, it's going to end in 12, 13 turns, and it's going to be great. Because they resist fire, but they're weak to ice, they're weak to lightning, and they're weak to magic damage. So any of your big magic damage dealers are going to be great here. Kuja obviously does damage to both of them. So Kuja is really great in this event. Sadly, Kuja is not one of the boosted characters, and this is a coin grab event. So you're trying to get tokens, you're trying to get coins, so that you can unlock the goodies. And if you bring good boosted characters, not good characters, if you bring the event characters, so let me be clear, boosted means Palom, Edge, and Vanille. That is what boosted means in this event, if you're still unclear about that. For this event, boosted means Palom, Edge, and Vanille. Unfortunately, Palom, Edge, and Vanille are not super awesome at this event, especially if you're fighting without their weapons. For example, 2 Vanilles, not okay. You know, you don't need more than 1 Vanille. 1 Vanille is fine because that mitigates the self buffs and the buffs they do together, especially if you have a max level broken Palom, which I've not seen a lot of, in your event because he does take some time. And so you want to be able to deal with those buffs the lizards give. An edge. I have played with many edges without their 35 CP weapon. I would prefer they stay home. I would rather play with 3 Vanilles, although the reality of 3 Vanilles beating this event is fairly low. Yeah, an edge without his 35 CP weapon is just painfully awful. He has no use, no utility. He does no damage. He can't draw the provoke. He is just completely useless.
So it's a drop the party kind of thing?
Oh, it's you. I mean, you really got to make sure. Yes, if you had an edge with the 35 CP, a Vanille with her 35 CP, and a max limit broke Palom, that would be great. I'm not even sure. I'm not going to do this boost. I have Vanille, and I have Vanille's 35 CP, and I have done it a few times with her, but it's so tough to get a decent party. That's not going to take 40 turns and then die. So it's just not worth it. I'd rather just pop a treasure book and use Kuja, very truthfully.
All right.
Make up the difference.
All right. So basically, what's the strategy to beat this lizard field fight?
Bring Kuja. or suffer through. No, I mean, there's really not a strategy. I mean, yeah, you got to mitigate both of them. If you take out the other one self buffs. If you don't take out one of them, they buff each other. So you got to deal with the buffs. The buffs are nasty. You bring characters like Titus or Vincent. Characters with AoE damage, characters with debuffs. That's going to help. Characters that can remove buffs, steal buffs, Belthier. Vanille, that's going to help. But yeah, fast magic damage is great. Papa's not great because of his fire damage. They resist, but other than that, there are some good magic options. So, go to town and keep it up. Yeah, it's not that hard, but if you bring in trash characters, then it's going to be hard.
There we go. Now, this is, if I'm correct, the second event that brings EX fights, level 80 EX fights.
Yes.
That event has 5 waves, and at the end you are rewarded with 2 nasty lizards to fight again. You have done that fight. Basically, I believe your party was again very Kuja centered.
Yes. I brought Kuja, Vanille, and Zaz with Shiva and Kuja support. I was able to beat it in 66 turns with a score of 47,465 points. That was my second run. My first run was with Kuja, Yuna, and Zaz. The problem with Yuna was she wasn't doing enough brave damage to mitigate the lizard's brave because it does get out of hand. And Vanille's Dispel really does make short work of the lizard's buffs, especially if you are using Kuja. You can take out one lizard pretty quick, or any other powerful mage. You can take out one lizard pretty quick, but then he self buffs with all those buffs. So having Dispel is nice. So that's kind of the safe choice. I probably could have brought another magic user like Ash or Garnet or Terra or Vaughn, especially, and beat it a little quicker. But having kind of Vanille as your safety net's not too bad. Obviously, I brought Zaz. There's a lot of Zaz, it's still in the meta right now. I'm pretty sure you could beat this with Litico, with Lightning Titus and Aiko. And then some combinations of, Aiko and Zaz with other characters. If you have Kane, you can bring him. But, yeah, I'd really try to encourage people to bring magic users and take advantage of that magic weakness. Yeah, although they're weak to ice and lightning too, so there's a lot of options, and I think there's a lot of different strategies that you can use.
All right.
in this fight.
In terms of summon, you've mentioned Shiva. I mean, would Ifrit with his attack boost be a good option, even though his attack will be
Yeah.
resisted, or is it a
Yeah, you know,
Shiva fight?
Afreet's. I think Afreet's always a good option because of that plus 20% attack at level 20. The only problem with Afreet is he's going to do resisted damage depending on who you're attacking with during the summon. If you summon during the lizards, and there's really no reason to summon before you get to the lizards. So they are going to resist that damage while you are in summon, which kind of sucks. So I brought Shiva because of the elemental damage. Also, I don't mind her buff. She does speed buffs when you get to 0 Brave. Obviously, I was bringing characters like Kuja and Zaz, and so they're at 0 Brave a lot. So their speed increases. That gives me more turns, the enemy less turns. You know, I think Shiva's a good option for a lot of battles if the enemy is weak to ice.
All right. So hopefully that answers the questions, and we'll give you a chance at tagging on these level 80 fights on the Palom event. And since right now it's the only event we have, there's not much to talk about. The Trials of the Brothers are going to be dropping tonight in the World of Illusion, so it's your chance to finally make something useful of these that summon, which we'll cover next week. So without further ado, we're already at the question of the week segment, but luckily there's a lot of things to talk about. So my question of the week for this week was, how important are artifacts for your planning and your strategy? I was curious because basically, you know, how do you plan who you're going to level? How do you plan if you're even going to go for artifacts? Are they worth it? Are they worth your time? We got some good feedback. We filtered through some things. So I'm going to go through the feedback first, and then Mark, I'll ask you what's your strategy for artifacts. So we've got an email from Nathan. He says, and it's a little bit long, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. He says, this is how I approach artifact farming. He says, 1, only farm artifact for characters I plan on using and have their 35 CP weapons. So basically, make sure that it's going to be worth his time investment. He says that depending on the character he's farming artifacts for, he'll look at their normal passives and see how much CP he equips, he uses to equip all of them, or at least the one he's interested into. And then he'll go in artifact farming. So he says, for example, if all passive I want for Titus costs 135 CP, then he tries to get 3 artifacts for a total of 35 CP or less so that he can equip everything. So that kind of makes sense. Nothing goes to waste. And you kind of hope you don't get 3 15 CP artifacts, because that kind of blows the entire thing. He says 3, when farming artifacts with most characters, he likes to have at least 3 artifacts with 1 perfect stats each. So that 1 in orange, so 1 in white, 1 in orange. Stats he looks for are usually attack, and that's important. Stats he looks for are usually attack 108, max bravery 330, initial bravery 170 depending on the character, and mighty 2-star abilities. So, side notes, he doesn't like to farm co-op, but with the new token system, he can get lots of artifact now. We get the usual drop from co-op like before, artifacts and orbs, but now he can also get, exchange tokens for artifacts. So, and finally, now that the Radiant artifact is permanent, he can farm artifacts for certain characters at any time by color anyway. So he doesn't have to wait or, plan things. He can just jump into it. So, there we go. Drumman17 on Twitter says that he artifact on after being done with co-op to use those artifacts that he got, and when he's got nothing else to do. Now that it's permanent, he'll probably do it more. He's also shared a tweet from someone, the source is unknown, and that's pretty incredible, and I think Mark kind of blew a fuse when he saw that. That player, who is nameless, has 3 5 CP Kuja artifacts with all red abilities, and they're good ones too. So the first one is Max Brave plus 330 and Soul Conductor 2-star. The second one is Max Brave 330 and Mighty Ultimate 2-star. And the third one is Attack 108 and Mighty Ultimate 2-star.
All 5 CP.
All 5 CP.
I don't think I have any artifacts with 2 orange or 2 max powers. I don't think I have regardless of CP for 1000 CP. I don't have any artifacts like that.
Wow.
0. I mean, I have thousands. I've farmed thousands of artifacts. I don't think I have any artifacts, let alone. So I don't know. Is there a? I'm not saying this person cheated.
Yeah, it's not photoshopped.
Is there? Well, not is it Photoshop, but is there like a? You're the computer guy. Is there
an exploit?
Is there a hack that would allow you to like download the information so that you know which artifact you're going to drop? You know, when you do it, or I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah,
so
I think it's when you actually combine them. You know, you roll the dice, but that guy's been eating and SHIT-ing luck really crazy right there.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Joseph on Twitch says he has 1 for Squall double orange 5 CP artifact, but you know
Yo, go ahead.
It's one thing to have 1, and that's great, but to have 3 good ones, 5 CP for the same character?
So here, I have artifact ground for Squall since his event. Since we got artifacts, whenever that was. All the time. I'm still getting artifacts for Squall. This is what I have for Squall after thousands of artifacts.
You want to name them for the people following at home?
They are all 5 CP.
Okay.
So thank Jesus. I have 1 with attack 36, Max Brave 330. 1 with attack 65, Mighty Renzo Kuken 2-star. 1 with attack 108, HP 340. And I am overjoyed. I am overjoyed that that's what I have. And that took me 6 months. I mean,
wow.
Right? I mean, Kuja, for example. So with these new events, there's a little bit more, you know, like I never used co-op to get artifacts. It was just too tedious. You just never got enough. So a lot of those characters that I have that are event characters didn't have any artifacts to them. But with the new coin system, there's a good way to get them. So here's my Kuja. You know, after all the coins that I got and spent for Kuja, I have a 10 CP Mighty Ring Holy 2-star attack 24. I have a 10 CP Max Brave 200 Soul Conductor 1-star, and I have a 5 CP attack 108 Max Brave 110. That's after a lot of co-op, right? I mean, that's after a considerable amount of co-op. Zaz, similarly, you know, I actually have pretty good ones for Zaz, but 12 CP attack 108, HP 230, CP 12 attack 108, Inish Brave 55, and then CP 8 Max Brave 330, Rapid Speed 2-star. Yeah, and the funny thing with Squall is, I told you what all my Squall ones are. The one I really want for Squall is Int Brave 170. I've never seen an Int Brave 170. Period. Like, not just for Squall. Like, I've never seen Int Brave 170. Any artifact I've ever had.
Wow. So, outside of that, what's your strategy? Who do you decide who you artifact?
Being pissed is my strategy. Isn't that obvious? like anger, and wrath. That's my strategy. You know, my basic strategy is those characters that are max limit broken, those characters that I'm using a lot, obviously the damaging characters, the DPS characters. So,
but actually, let's take a step back. Do you consider artifacts a necessary step a necessary evil in the game to make your characters much better. Does it make that much of a difference to, let's say you have a fully limit broke character with or without artifacts. Do you think it's such a difference that makes it worth it?
Yeah. For example, if your normal character has 1700 attack and you get 3 artifacts with 108 attack, you're talking 300 more attack, 300 more damage every time you hit. And then that multiplies, obviously. So, so I basically, is it necessary? No. It makes a good character better.
Okay.
Good artifacts make a good character better. If you have those crazy artifacts like that guy had, they make a great character even greater.
But basically,
yeah, and they really do help. I mean, they obviously help your non-boosted characters in boosted events do a little bit more. I mean, it kind of bridges the gap between a character with no artifacts in a boosted event is going to be doing a lot more stuff than a non-boosted character with great artifacts, right? But the gap between that boosted character and the character with really great artifacts is a little lower if the artifacts are very good.
All right. But basically, the artifact will not make a character that's not fully limit broke, like a character you don't have is 35 CP. Even if you have killer artifacts, it won't make that character much better. I mean, it'll improve character you have good weapons for, but it won't make a character...
No, I wouldn't be spending the time, very truthfully, on characters that aren't max limit broke. I mean, you're not going to use them as much.
If at all.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a argument made for this new kind of meta of token grab that it's nice to have a whole bunch of characters who are really good without their weapons, but at the end of the day, I think you want to focus, because it does take a long time to get those good artifacts. You want to focus on your best characters and the characters you're going to be using going forward.
All right, makes a lot of sense. So, the question of the weeks for next week is coming from Lucas. That's Square Lucaster on Twitter. He says, I actually have a question nobody would ask except for me. Should other spin-off Final Fantasy characters deserve a heartbeat chance to make their appearance at playable characters? So we're looking forward to your opinion, your comment on this. Leave it on YouTube if that's where you're watching. Leave it on Twitter. Or email us at the address cupo@tccpodcast.com. We'll discuss this next week. Speaking of next week and upcoming content, like we said, there's the Trials of the Brothers that is dropping in 30-ish minutes, again at the time of this recording. Then there's the Final Fantasy II Mariah event dropping on September 16th, and Questus on the 24th. Which one of these two events are you looking for? Whip Lady or Bow Lady?
I'm not really looking forward to either of them.
So you're going to be saving your gems, aren't you?
I don't think I am going to be pulling on either of these events. Let me give you let me look at the list here. So Maria is, I once knew a girl named Maria. Maria is Maria, Aiko, and Irvine. And Quistis is Quistis, Vivi, and Sarah. So yeah, and then we're going to move into Chapter 10, Cypher, Raijin, Fujin. Yeah.
All right.
So I may do a poll on the Lost Chapter banner, but I don't think I'm going to probably pull on either of these. But
so maybe
not terrible characters. We will review them. Not terrible stuff.
Maybe a good time to start saving on those gems for upcoming badass characters, I guess.
Yep, I'm sitting at what am I at? 12,730.
TM.
And I don't know how many tickets. Yeah, 68.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
I'm ready.
Yeah, that pretty much does it. Slow week, slow show. I believe we might not do a show next week, Mark. Did you mention that you were probably going to be away?
Yeah, things are kind of up in the air, but yeah.
So
Um,
keep an eye out on Twitter and Facebook at FFTCC Podcast to get the schedule. We might skip next week for that. Mark deserves some time away relaxing, and so does all of his family, so we'll give him that. And so that's pretty much it. That was episode number 24, recorded on September 12th, 2018. Again, if you have any comments or anything, you can send those at kupo@tccpodcast.com. Otherwise, we'll see you on our next show in a week or two. Have fun, be nice, save those gems, and enjoy the game. See ya.